I'm about to show you the one meal that actually reverses arterial plaque. Not slows it down, not manages it, reverses it. And I can prove it. I'm Dr. Emily Mack, cardiac surgeon for 20 years, and I've spent 2 decades opening chests and seeing diseased arteries with my own eyes. I've held hard, calcified blood vessels in my hands. I've seen plaque so severe it turns flexible arteries into stiff, concrete tubes. And I'm telling you right now, almost everything you've been told about unclogging your arteries is wrong. The internet is full of bad advice. Lemon water to dissolve plaque, apple cider vinegar to clean arteries, garlic pills to melt cholesterol. It's all nonsense. Your arteries are not plumbing pipes. Plaque is not grease stuck to the walls. You can't pour something down your throat and magically clear them. That's not how the human body works. I know this because I've seen what really happens inside arteries that are diseased. When I perform bypass surgery, when I cut into a coronary artery that's 90% blocked, I see the real problem. I see the biology, not the myths. And it's nothing like what people imagine. Plaque is not cholesterol glued to your artery like oil on metal. Plaque is an immune reaction. It's inflammation. It's your own white blood cells attacking damaged cholesterol trapped inside the artery wall. It's an internal immune battle happening inside your body right now. And if you want to reverse it, you must understand how it actually works. Because once you understand what plaque really is, how it forms, and why it keeps growing, you'll realize that the meal I'm about to show you isn't trendy health nonsense. It's precise. Every ingredient works on a specific biological pathway. Every compound triggers a specific response inside your cells. This meal doesn't scrub arteries clean. It turns on reverse cholesterol transport. It forces immune cells to release the cholesterol they're holding. It blocks calcium from hardening your arteries. It prevents LDL from becoming damaged in the first place. This is cell biology. This is immunology. This is how plaque is truly reversed. Not with cleanses or detoxes, but with real science. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what's happening inside your arteries right now. You'll see why common advice fails, why low-fat diets often make things worse, why statins alone don't fix the problem, and you'll learn the exact meal, the exact ingredients, and the exact compounds that activate your body's ability to pull cholesterol out of artery walls and reverse disease. This is not a theory, it's not a fad. It's backed by peer-reviewed science and it works. But first, you need to understand what plaque actually is, because if you don't understand the disease, you can't fight it. And it's the only proven way to reverse atherosclerosis. But here's the problem. In most people, reverse cholesterol transport simply isn't working. Their ABCA1 protein isn't activated. Their HDL doesn't work the way it should. Their foam cells can't push cholesterol back out. So the plaque keeps growing and growing until one day it ruptures, or until they end up on my operating table with their chest opened for bypass surgery. But it does not have to end this way. ABCA1 can be activated. HDL function can be restored. Reverse cholesterol transport can be switched back on. And it's not done with drugs, and it's not done with surgery. It's done with food, very specific foods, very specific compounds eaten together in the right way. That's the meal I'm about to explain. And before you brush this off as fantasy, understand this is backed by real science. There are human studies showing certain dietary patterns activate ABCA1, increase reverse cholesterol transport, and reduce plaque inside arteries. I'm going to explain those mechanisms, and then I'm going to give you the exact meal. But before we talk about food, there's one more thing you must understand. Cholesterol is not the only enemy in your arteries. Calcium is even worse. As plaque ages, as foam cells die and spill their contents, calcium starts to build up. Your body tries to protect itself. It tries to seal off the inflammation. It lays down calcium the same way it forms a scab over a wound. Over time, that plaque becomes hard and stiff. Your arteries slowly turn into something like bone. This is what we measure with a coronary calcium score. It's a CT scan that measures how much calcium is sitting in your coronary arteries. A score of 0 means no detectable plaque. A score between 100 and 400 means moderate disease. A score above 400 means severe disease. And a score above 1,000 means your arteries are basically concrete. You are a ticking time bomb. Thomas was 68 years old. He felt perfectly fine, no chest pain, no shortness of breath. But his doctor ordered a coronary calcium scan during a routine checkup. The result shocked everyone. His score was 836. Severe disease. His cardiologist couldn't believe it. How could someone feel normal with that much plaque? They did an angiogram. His main artery to the heart was about 60% blocked. Another major artery was about 50% blocked. Not bad enough for a stent, but more than enough to kill him if one plaque ruptured. His cardiologist prescribed a high-dose statin, 80 milligrams of atorvastatin. He told him to eat a low-fat diet. He told him to exercise. The usual advice. Thomas followed everything exactly. He took his statin every day. He stopped eating red meat. He switched to chicken and fish. He walked every morning. 1 year later, they repeated the calcium scan. His score was now 981. It had gone up by 145 points. The plaque was still growing and hardening, despite medication, despite diet, despite exercise. Thomas was crushed. He thought he was doing everything right, yet his disease was getting worse. He came to me asking if he needed surgery. I reviewed his images. His blockages weren't severe enough to bypass, but I was honest with him. If this process continued, he would be dead within 5 years, either from a heart attack or on an operating table. Thomas asked me what he should do. I told him to stop eating a low-fat diet. I told him about the exact meal I'm about to describe to you. I explained the biology, the ABCA1 activation, the calcium blocking, the oxidation control. He didn't believe me at first. He said, "My cardiologist told me fat is dangerous. You're telling me to eat olive oil?" I told him the truth. Low-fat diets do not reverse plaque. They often make it worse because they lower HDL. And without HDL, you cannot activate reverse cholesterol transport. You cannot pull cholesterol out of your artery walls. Thomas trusted me. He changed his diet. He ate this meal every single day, not occasionally, not when it was convenient, every single day. 18 months later, we repeated his calcium scan. His score was 922. It had dropped by 59 points. The plaque was shrinking. The calcium was slowly being reabsorbed. His arteries were healing. Thomas is still alive today, 5 years later. His calcium score is now 841. Still high, but slowly going down. The disease is reversing, and because we turned the process around, he will never need surgery. This is what I want for you. Now let's talk about the meal. This isn't a recipe. It's a protocol. Every ingredient has a job. Every compound activates a specific pathway. You can't swap ingredients. You can't skip parts. You can't do half of it and expect results. This only works when it's done completely. The first part is the nitrate source. You need arugula or beets, ideally both. And here's why. The lining of your arteries produces nitric oxide. This is one of the most important molecules for heart health. Nitric oxide relaxes blood vessels. It prevents blood cells from sticking. It slows muscle thickening in the vessel wall. It protects against plaque. But in atherosclerosis, nitric oxide production is damaged. The endothelium stops working properly. Without nitric oxide, arteries tighten, blood flow drops, and plaque progresses. You can restore nitric oxide through something called the enterosalivary nitrite-nitrite-nitric oxide pathway. This is one of the most important discoveries in heart science in decades, yet almost no one talks about it. Here's how it works. You eat foods rich in nitrate, like leafy greens, arugula, spinach, and beets. The nitrate is absorbed in your gut and enters your blood. Your salivary glands pull it out of the blood and release it into your saliva. About a quarter of the nitrate in your blood ends up in your mouth. You swallow that saliva, and this is where it gets interesting. Your mouth is full of bacteria. Certain bacteria on your tongue and gums have an enzyme that converts nitrate into nitrite. You swallow the nitrite. In your stomach, some of it turns into nitric oxide right away. The rest enters your bloodstream and is converted into nitric oxide inside your blood vessels. Your arteries relax. Blood flow improves. Endothelial function comes back. This has been proven in human studies. People given beet juice show rapid improvements in blood pressure, vessel flexibility, and blood flow, sometimes within hours. But here's the part almost no one tells you. This process only works if those bacteria are alive. And what kills them? Mouthwash. Especially antiseptic mouthwashes like chlorhexidine and Listerine. These products wipe out oral bacteria. That's their purpose. But they don't just kill bad bacteria. They kill the good ones too. When those bacteria are gone, this entire nitric oxide pathway shuts down. Studies have proven this. People who used mouthwash twice a day lost the ability to convert nitrate into nitric oxide. Their blood pressure went up, their endothelial function got worse, all because the bacteria were destroyed. So if you want this process to work, if you want to restore nitric oxide and protect your arteries, you need to stop using mouthwash immediately. Just brush your teeth. Floss. That's enough. Don't wipe out the bacteria that are helping keep your arteries healthy. Now the question becomes, how much nitrate do you actually need? Research shows that about 300 to 500 milligrams of nitrate per day is ideal. That equals roughly 2 cups of arugula or 1 large beet or about a cup of beetroot juice. I prefer arugula because it's easy to add to meals. You're going to use it as the foundation. A big salad, 2 to 3 cups of arugula. Raw, not cooked. Heat destroys part of the nitrate, so don't cook it. Eat it raw. Your salivary glands will concentrate the nitrate. The bacteria in your mouth will convert it. Nitric oxide production will increase throughout your body. Your blood vessels will relax. Blood flow to your heart improves. Endothelial function gets better. Within a few hours, many people feel it. Hands and feet feel warmer. Blood pressure drops slightly. You can exercise longer with less effort. This is step 1. You've opened the highway, but opening the highway isn't enough. Now you have to move the trash. You need to activate reverse cholesterol transport. You need to turn on ABCA1, and that requires the second component, high phenolic extra virgin olive oil. Not just any olive oil. High phenolic content matters. Olive oil contains a compound called oleocanthal. This is a phenolic compound. It's what gives high-quality olive oil that sharp, peppery burn in the back of your throat. When you swallow good olive oil and it stings, that's oleocanthal. And oleocanthal is extremely powerful for heart health. It works in 2 major ways. First, it reduces inflammation. Oleocanthal blocks QX enzymes, the same enzymes blocked by ibuprofen. It calms inflammation inside your artery walls. It quiets the immune response and helps stabilize plaque. Second, and this is critical, oleocanthal increases ABCA1 activity. It turns on the gene that produces this transporter. Your foam cells begin making more ABCA1 on their surface. More ABCA1 means more cholesterol pushed out of the cell, more reverse cholesterol transport, and more plaque regression. This isn't speculation. It's been shown in laboratory studies. Researchers exposed foam cells, macrophages filled with oxidized LDL, to oleocanthal. ABCA1 levels rose. Cholesterol efflux increased. The foam cells shrank as cholesterol was removed. This has also been proven in humans. The pre-dimed study, a large trial from Spain, followed over 7,000 people at high risk for heart disease. They were split into 3 groups. One group followed a low-fat diet. One followed a Mediterranean diet with added nuts. The third followed a Mediterranean diet with extra virgin olive oil, about 50 milliliters per day, roughly 4 tablespoons. The study ran for 5 years. When researchers looked at outcomes, heart attacks, strokes, and cardiovascular deaths, the low-fat group did the worst. The nut group did better. The olive oil group did best. There was a 30% reduction in cardiovascular events compared to the low-fat group. 30% just from olive oil, but not cheap olive oil. The oil used was high in phenolic compounds, rich in oleocanthal, because Spanish olive oil is typically fresh, cold-pressed, and minimally processed. If you use low-quality olive oil that's refined, filtered, and has been sitting on a shelf for months, you're not getting oleocanthal, you're just getting fat, and fat alone does not activate ABCA1. You need the phenolics. So when you buy olive oil, look carefully. It must be extra virgin, cold-pressed, ideally from a single estate. There should be a harvest date on the bottle, preferably within the last year. It should come in a dark glass bottle to protect it from light. And then do the taste test. Pour a little into a cup, swallow it. It should burn the back of your throat. Sharp, peppery, even harsh. That burn is oleocanthal. The stronger the burn, the higher the phenolic content. If it tastes smooth and mild, it's low quality. Don't buy it. Get the oil that makes you cough. That's the medicine. How much do you need? The pre-dimed study used 50 milliliters per day, about 4 tablespoons. That's a lot for most people to drink straight. So you add it to your meal. Dress your arugula salad generously. 3 to 4 tablespoons. Don't hold back. This isn't about calories. This is therapy. You're trying to activate ABCA1. Pour it on. Now you have nitrates to restore nitric oxide. You have oleocanthal to activate reverse cholesterol transport. But there's still a third problem you must address. Calcification. If your arteries are hard with calcium, nitric oxide and ABCA1 alone won't fix everything. You have to stop calcium from depositing. Even better, you need to reverse it. And for that, you need vitamin K2, not K1. K2, this is essential. Vitamin K1 helps with blood clotting and comes from leafy greens. It's important, but it doesn't control calcium. Vitamin K2 does. Its job is to direct calcium to where it belongs, into bones, not into arteries. K2 activates proteins that manage calcium, especially one called matrix GLA protein, or MGP. This protein is produced in artery walls. Its role is to block calcification. It binds calcium and prevents it from hardening inside vessels. But MGP only works when it's activated, and vitamin K2 is what activates it. Without K2, MGP stays inactive. Calcium builds up. Arteries harden. They lose flexibility. Blood flow suffers. Plaques become more dangerous and more likely to rupture. This is why calcium scores predict heart attacks so well. They don't just measure plaque. They measure how broken your calcium regulation is. A high score usually means low K2, inactive MGP, and uncontrolled calcification. And here's the problem. Most people are deficient in K2 because it's only found in certain foods. Fermented foods, aged cheeses, and natto. Natto is a Japanese fermented soybean food. It's sticky, strong-smelling, and unpleasant to many people. But it's the richest source of vitamin K2 on Earth, especially the MK7 form, which stays active in the body the longest. Studies in Japan show that people who eat natto regularly have lower heart disease rates, lower calcium scores, and more flexible arteries. When researchers gave MK7 supplements, calcium scores stopped rising and sometimes even went down. Calcium was being removed from arteries and sent to bones. This is the only nutrient shown to reverse arterial calcification in humans, only K2, specifically MK7. Thomas, the patient I told you about earlier with a calcium score of 836, ate natto every day, about 50 grams. That gave him around 200 micrograms of MK7. Over 3 years, his calcium score dropped from 981 to 841. That's real regression. That's reversal. And it happened because of K2. Now I know most people won't eat natto. So what are the alternatives? Aged cheeses like Gouda, Brie, and Edam contain K2, about 10 to 20 micrograms per ounce. But you'd need several ounces daily to reach therapeutic levels. That's a lot of cheese. The other option is supplementation. MK7 supplements are widely available. Studies use doses between 180 and 360 micrograms per day. This is safe. K2 does not affect clotting the way K1 does. It does not interfere with blood thinners. It's one of the safest supplements available. Still, food is ideal when possible. So the third part of this meal is either natto if you can tolerate it, or aged Gouda cheese, or an MK7 supplement taken with the meal. This activates MGP. It stops calcium buildup and begins reversing it. Arteries become more flexible. Calcium scores stabilize or decline. But calcium isn't the only threat. There's one final mechanism you must address. Oxidation. Remember, plaque starts when LDL enters the artery wall and becomes oxidized. If you stop oxidation, you stop the entire chain reaction. No oxidized LDL means no immune attack, no foam cells, no plaque. So how do you stop LDL oxidation? With antioxidants. But not just any antioxidants. You need specific ones that bind directly to LDL. The most powerful are called punicolagens. These polyphenols come from pomegranates, especially the seeds and the white membrane. Punicolagens attach to LDL particles and coat them. They protect LDL from free radical damage. When LDL can't oxidize, your immune system ignores it. Macrophages don't eat it. Foam cells don't form. Plaque doesn't grow. This has been shown in human studies. People who drank pomegranate juice daily for a year showed reduced carotid artery thickness, a direct measure of plaque. Researchers also found much lower LDL oxidation. The LDL particles were resistant to damage because they were coated with punicolagens. Pomegranate does something else too. It boosts paraoxinase, an enzyme carried on HDL particles. Paraoxinase breaks down oxidized fats and protects blood vessels. Higher paraoxinase activity means lower heart disease risk, and pomegranate increases it. That makes HDL more effective, more protective, and better at reverse cholesterol transport. That's why pomegranate is the fourth component of this meal, but not pomegranate juice. Juice contains too much sugar. You want the whole fruit, especially the arils, the little seed-filled sacs. They're crunchy, slightly sour, refreshing, and loaded with punicolagens. 1 cup of pomegranate arils gives you about 300 milligrams of these compounds, which is a therapeutic amount. You mix them into your arugula salad. They add texture, flavor, color, and powerful protection against oxidation. Now let's bring everything together. This is the full meal, the arterial remodeling protocol. Start with a large bowl. Add 2 to 3 cups of fresh arugula. This gives you your nitrates, roughly 300 to 500 milligrams. Your salivary glands concentrate them. Your oral bacteria convert them. Nitric oxide is produced. Blood vessels relax. Add 1 cup of fresh pomegranate arils. These provide punicolagens that bind to LDL, prevent oxidation, and stop foam cells from forming. Then dress the salad generously with high phenolic extra virgin olive oil, 3 to 4 tablespoons. This supplies oleocanthal. It activates ABCA1 and starts pulling cholesterol out of foam cells. If you can tolerate natto, add 50 grams on the side. If not, add about 3 ounces of aged Gouda cheese on top of the salad, or take an MK7 supplement with the meal. This activates MGP, stops calcium buildup, and begins reversing it. That's the meal. Simple, real foods. No processed ingredients, no powders, no pills, just food chosen for its biological effects. Food that activates the exact pathways your body needs to reverse plaque. Now let me deal with the objections, because I know what's going through your mind. The first objection is that this meal has too much fat. Olive oil is pure fat. You're thinking, 4 tablespoons is hundreds of calories. Yes, it is. But those calories are not the problem. The low-fat message has damaged heart health for decades. For over 50 years, people were told to fear fat and replace it with carbohydrates, grains, and sugar. What happened? Obesity skyrocketed. Diabetes exploded. Heart disease stayed the leading cause of death. Fat was never the enemy. Oxidized LDL is the enemy. Inflammation is the enemy. Broken HDL function is the enemy. And low-fat diets make all of that worse. When you cut fat, HDL drops. When HDL drops, reverse cholesterol transport slows. Cholesterol stays trapped in foam cells. Plaque grows. Low-fat diets also raise triglycerides because excess carbs are converted into fat by the liver. Those fats are packed into VLDL particles, which oxidize easily and drive inflammation. Low-fat diets also increase small, dense LDL, the most dangerous kind, the kind that enters artery walls easily and oxidizes quickly. So when you eat low-fat and high carbs, your lipid profile often gets worse, not better. But when you eat the right fats, olive oil, omega-3s, your HDL rises, ABCA1 activates, reverse cholesterol transport improves, triglycerides fall, and LDL particles become larger and less harmful. This is why the Mediterranean diet works. It's high in fat, around 40% of calories, but it's the right fat. Olive oil, nuts, fish, and people who eat this way have the lowest heart disease rates in the world. It's not about fat, it's about fat quality and metabolic effects. The second objection is that you can't eat this every day. It feels like too much effort, too expensive, too inconvenient. Then you're not serious about reversing plaque. This is not casual. This is not something you do when you remember. This is treatment. If I prescribed you a drug and told you to take it daily, you'd do it. This meal is medicine. It activates pathways drugs can't. You eat it every day. No exceptions. Is it expensive? Yes. Quality olive oil costs money. Pomegranates cost money. Aged cheese costs money. But how much does a heart attack cost? How much does bypass surgery cost? How much does lifelong disability cost? This meal costs maybe $10 to $15 per day. That's a few $100s per month. Bypass surgery can cost over $100,000. A heart attack can cost tens of thousands if you survive. And if you don't, your family pays in lost income, lost years, and loss itself. This meal is the cheapest insurance you'll ever buy. Make it non-negotiable. Is it time-consuming? It takes about 10 minutes. Rinse arugula. Remove pomegranate seeds. Pour olive oil. That's it. If you don't have 10 minutes to protect your life, your priorities are off. The third objection is about antioxidant studies. You've heard that antioxidant supplements don't work. That's true. Vitamin E pills, vitamin C pills, beta-carotene pills have failed in large studies. Some even increased mortality. But that's not what we're doing here. We're not talking about isolated synthetic vitamins. We're talking about whole foods. Foods that contain thousands of compounds working together. Pomegranates don't contain one antioxidant. They contain dozens, polyphenols, tannins, anthocyanins, all acting together. These compounds do more than neutralize free radicals. They activate genes. They reduce inflammation. They interact with gut bacteria. You cannot copy that with a pill. That's why food-based strategies work while supplement-only strategies fail. Whole foods deliver compounds in the right form with the right cofactors, metabolized properly by your body. A pomegranate is not a vitamin pill. It's a natural pharmacy. The fourth objection is about statins. Your doctor told you to take one. Isn't that enough? No. Statins lower LDL in the blood. That slows plaque growth and may stabilize plaque, but it does not reverse it. Statins do not activate ABCA1. They do not increase reverse cholesterol transport. They do not remove cholesterol from foam cells. They do not stop calcification. They do not prevent oxidation. They lower a number. And lowering LDL is important. I'm not telling you to stop your statin, but statins alone are not enough. Thomas was on a high-dose statin. His LDL dropped to 70, and his calcium score still went up. Why? Because the mechanisms weren't being addressed. Reverse cholesterol transport wasn't activated. Calcification wasn't stopped. You need both. Medication to lower LDL and diet to activate healing pathways. Together they work. Separately, they fail. Now I want you to understand why I'm sharing this. Why I'm taking the time to explain biology instead of just saying eat healthy. I'm tired. I'm tired of operating on people who never needed surgery. I'm tired of opening chests and sewing bypass grafts because no one taught patients how to reverse disease. I'm tired of seeing strokes happen to people who followed standard advice. I'm tired of the fear of olive oil, the obsession with cholesterol numbers, and the ignorance of real biology. And I'm tired of watching patients trust the system and still die. That's why I started this channel. To share the real mechanisms, the real pathways, the actual science, not simplified slogans, not committee guidelines. The truth. If this information matters to you, I need your help. First, subscribe to this channel right now. The algorithm hides content like this unless people engage. If you don't subscribe, this video won't reach the next person with a calcium score of 800. They won't learn about ABCA1 or MGP or punicalagins. They'll follow standard advice and they'll die. Subscribe so this reaches more people. Second, leave a comment. Share your calcium score if you know it. Tell me if you'll try this meal. Tell me if your doctor ever explained any of this. Every comment signals value to the algorithm. Your comment could help save someone's life. Third, share this video. Send it to anyone with heart disease, high cholesterol, a past heart attack or stroke, or a family history. Text it, email it, post it. Somewhere right now, someone is in a hospital bed wondering how this happened. This video could have helped them, but only if it was shared. Share it now. Now let me give you the practical details, so this actually works. First, arugula. Buy it fresh. Organic if possible. Conventional arugula often has higher nitrate content due to fertilizer, but organic avoids pesticides. 2 to 3 cups per day. Pomegranates. Buy whole fruit and learn to remove the seeds. It takes about 5 minutes. Or buy packaged arils if you prefer convenience. 1 cup per day. Olive oil is critical. Buy high phenolic extra virgin olive oil. Look for bottles that list polyphenol content, at least 250 milligrams per kilogram. Higher is better. Use dark glass bottles. Check harvest dates. Use within 6 months of opening. 4 tablespoons per day. Natto, if you're willing. Buy it frozen from an Asian market. Thaw in the fridge. 1 small 50-gram container per day. If not, choose aged Gouda, preferably aged 5 years or more, 3 ounces per day. Or take an MK7 supplement from a reputable brand, 180 micrograms per day with food. Second is timing. Eat this meal once per day. I prefer lunch because nitric oxide levels rise about 2 to 3 hours after you eat foods high in nitrates. If you eat this meal at lunch, your nitric oxide will be highest in the afternoon when you're moving around and active. That's when good blood flow matters most. You can eat it at dinner if that works better for you, but the most important thing is consistency. Eat it at the same time every day so your body adapts and responds predictably. Now let's talk about preparation. Wash the arugula well, pat it dry, and place it in a large bowl. Add the pomegranate arils, then drizzle 4 tablespoons of olive oil over the top and toss everything together. Add salt and pepper if you like. That's all there is to it. Eat it slowly and chew it well. You want the nitrates to mix with your saliva because the bacteria on your tongue need time to convert nitrate into nitrite. Don't rush through the meal. If you're eating natto, have it on the side since its strong flavor can overpower the salad. If you're using cheese, crumble it on top. If you're taking a supplement, take it with the first bite of the meal. Now let's be clear about what not to do. Do not use mouthwash, ever. I've said this before, but it's so important that I'm saying it again. Mouthwash kills the bacteria in your mouth that convert nitrate into nitrite. If you use mouthwash, this entire protocol stops working. Brush and floss. That's enough. Do not skip the olive oil to save calories. The olive oil is essential. The oleocanthal is what activates ABCA1. Without it, you're just eating a salad and missing the main benefit. Do not use low-quality olive oil. Cheap olive oil is often mixed with seed oils, already oxidized or rancid, and it won't do what you need it to do. Spend the money on real olive oil. Do not replace arugula with spinach. Spinach contains oxalates that can interfere with calcium handling. Arugula does not. Use arugula. And do not eat this meal and then spend the rest of the day eating fast food and processed junk. This is not magic. One salad cannot cancel out a bad diet. This meal is part of a larger lifestyle. You still need to avoid seed oils, avoid sugar, avoid refined carbohydrates, and focus on whole foods. This salad is the foundation, but the rest of your diet still matters. Next is monitoring. If you want to know whether this is actually working, you need real data, not just how you feel. Get a baseline calcium score, then repeat it after 18 to 24 months. If the score stays the same or goes down, the protocol is working. If it keeps rising, something needs to be adjusted. You also need an advanced lipid panel, not just total cholesterol and LDL. Look at LDL particle number, particle size, HDL particle number, apolipoprotein B, and lipoprotein A. These numbers tell the real story. You want LDL particle number under 1,000. You want larger, less dense LDL particles. You want a high HDL particle number. You want ApoB under 80. Get a carotid ultrasound to measure intima media thickness and plaque burden. Get a baseline and repeat it every year. You want it to decrease or at least remain stable. Check high-sensitivity C-reactive protein to measure inflammation. You want it below 1.0 milligrams per liter, ideally under 0.5. If it's high, inflammation is still driving disease. These tests cost money, but they give you objective proof of whether this is working and show you what needs to change if it's not. Now let me address the big question. Why doesn't your doctor talk about this? Why isn't this standard treatment? Because medical education is deeply flawed. Doctors are trained to prescribe drugs and perform procedures, not to understand nutrition or teach cellular biology related to food. Most medical schools provide less than 20 hours of nutrition education over 4 years, and most of that is basic biochemistry with no practical application. After medical school, during residency and fellowship, nutrition is almost completely ignored. Doctors are taught to manage disease, not prevent it or reverse it. They're taught that atherosclerosis only moves in one direction and that the best you can do is slow it down with statins, stents, or bypass surgery. Reversal is considered impossible, even though research shows otherwise. Those studies exist. In the 1990s, Dean Ornish showed that intensive lifestyle changes could actually reverse coronary artery disease, confirmed by angiograms showing plaques shrinking. Caldwell-Esselstyn published similar results in patients with severe blockages. He used a strict plant-based diet, and plaques regressed while symptoms disappeared. These studies were peer-reviewed and published in respected journals, but they're largely ignored. Why? Because there's no profit in lifestyle change. You can't patent arugula. You can't sell olive oil for thousands of dollars a month. Pharmaceutical companies fund most medical research, continuing education, and conferences. They're not interested in promoting solutions that don't involve their products. So cardiologists follow the guidelines they were taught. Prescribe a statin, recommend a low-fat diet, and move on. It's not because they're bad people. It's because the system they work in is broken and overloaded, and they don't have time to study nutrition science on their own. That's why I created an ebook called The Arterial Remodeling Protocol. It's everything I know about reversing atherosclerosis in one place. It explains how plaque forms, how foam cells develop, how calcification happens, and how plaques rupture. It breaks down the mechanisms like ABCA1, MGP, nitric oxide, paraoxinase, and many others in more detail than I can cover in a single video. It includes a full daily meal plan, not just this salad, but breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, all designed to activate specific pathways. It covers supplements that actually work, the correct doses and timing, trusted brands, and which supplements are a waste of money. It explains the right types of exercise for endothelial health, not just generic advice to move more. It also includes a monitoring plan, how to interpret your test results, what to do if they don't improve, and real patient case studies showing how people reverse their disease. To get the ebook, click the link in the description and join Senior Health Daily. This is not free. It's a premium resource based on 20 years of surgical experience and months of research, but it's worth it if it keeps you out of my operating room. Click the link, get the ebook, and follow the complete protocol. Before you leave, I want you to watch one more video. Click the link on your screen titled, The One Supplement That Dissolves Arterial Plaque, backed by 127 studies. Even with perfect nutrition, there's one supplement that speeds up plaque regression more than almost anything else. It's been studied in over 100 trials, and cardiologists rarely talk about it because it's not a drug. You need to know about it. Click the video, watch it, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm committed to sharing real mechanisms and protocols that work, not guideline-based advice designed to keep you on medication forever. Take care of your arteries. Eat this meal every day. Track your progress. And remember what I told you at the beginning. Your arteries are not pipes. Plaque is not grease. You can't clean it out with vinegar, but you can activate reverse cholesterol transport. You can stop calcification. You can restore nitric oxide. You can prevent oxidation. You can reverse this disease one meal at a time, one pathway at a time, one day at a time, until your calcium score drops, your plaque regresses, and you never need surgery. That's what I want for you. That's why I made this video. Now go eat the meal. Activate the pathways, heal your arteries. I'll see you in the next video. Your artery wall has 3 layers. The innermost layer is called the intima. It's made of a single layer of endothelial cells. These cells form a thin barrier between your blood and the deeper parts of the artery. When they're healthy, they're smooth and slippery. They release nitric oxide, a gas that keeps the artery relaxed and prevents blood cells from sticking. But when these cells are damaged by high blood pressure, smoking, diabetes, or long-term inflammation, they stop working properly. They produce less nitric oxide. They become rough and sticky, tiny gaps form between them. And through those gaps, LDL cholesterol particles slip into the artery wall. This is where plaque begins. LDL moves past the endothelium and gets trapped in the intima. Now here's the key part. If that LDL stayed unchanged, it wouldn't cause much harm. But it doesn't stay unchanged. It oxidizes. Oxidation is like rust forming on metal. Inside the artery wall, LDL is exposed to free radicals. The fats go rancid, the proteins are damaged, the LDL becomes oxidized LDL, and oxidized LDL is seen by your immune system as dangerous. Your body treats it like a germ or virus that must be destroyed, so your immune system responds. White blood cells called monocytes move into the artery wall. They squeeze through the lining and change into macrophages. These cells are the cleanup crew of your immune system. Their job is to eat dangerous material and remove it. The macrophages find the oxidized LDL and swallow it. They pull it inside themselves in a process called phagocytosis. The cholesterol is released inside the cell. But this is where things go wrong. The macrophage can't handle all that cholesterol. It becomes overloaded. It fills up with fat. It swells and turns into what's called a foam cell, an immune cell packed with fat that looks foamy under a microscope. Foam cells are the building blocks of plaque. They're the earliest visible sign of artery disease. When autopsies are done on teenagers who died suddenly, fatty streaks are often found in their arteries. Those streaks are clusters of foam cells. The disease has already begun early in life, and here's the tragedy. These foam cells are trying to protect you. They're trying to clean up damaged cholesterol, but they get trapped. They can't escape the artery wall. They can't get rid of the cholesterol they've eaten. So they sit there swollen, stressed, and eventually they die. When they die, they burst open. They spill cholesterol crystals, inflammatory chemicals, and enzymes into the artery wall. This creates even more inflammation. More immune cells are called in. More macrophages arrive. More foam cells form. The plaque grows larger over time. Year after year, decade after decade, this continues. The plaque pushes into the artery opening and narrows blood flow. Symptoms appear: chest pain, shortness of breath, leg pain when walking. But the biggest danger isn't the narrowing. The real danger is rupture. Plaque is not solid or stable. It's an inflamed, living lesion with a thin outer cap covering a core of dead cells and cholesterol debris. That cap is fragile. When it breaks, the contents spill into the bloodstream. Your blood reacts instantly by forming a clot. The artery suddenly becomes blocked. If this happens in the heart, it causes a heart attack. In the brain, it causes a stroke. In the leg, it can cause gangrene. This is how plaque kills. Not slowly by closing arteries, but suddenly by rupturing and triggering clots. And here's the shocking part. The plaques that rupture are often not the biggest ones. A plaque that blocks only 40 or 50% of an artery can rupture and be fatal. Size doesn't matter as much as inflammation. What matters is how unstable the plaque is, how many foam cells are dying inside it, and how thin the cap has become. This is why the standard medical approach fails. Doctors focus on blockage. They measure narrowing. If it's over 70%, they insert a stent. Blood flow improves and symptoms go away. But the disease remains. The plaque is still inflamed and unstable, and the smaller plaques that aren't treated continue to grow silently. Those are often the ones that rupture and kill. This is why we need a different strategy. We don't need wider arteries. We need calmer, smaller plaques. We need to remove cholesterol from foam cells and move it out of the artery wall. That process already exists. It's called reverse cholesterol transport. It's the only true way to reverse plaque. Your body uses HDL cholesterol to do this. HDL isn't good because it's a different cholesterol. It's good because it's a carrier. It picks up cholesterol from tissues and takes it to the liver. When HDL meets a foam cell, it attaches to it and activates a protein called ABCA1. This protein works like a pump. It pushes cholesterol out of the foam cell and loads it onto the HDL particle. HDL carries the cholesterol back to the liver sends it into bile. The bile moves into your intestines. The cholesterol leaves your body. The foam cell shrinks. The plaque gets smaller. This is reverse cholesterol transport.